Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Dodge this.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Holy Moment podcast, where three film school friends watch movies with you and discuss the moments that work, the moments that don't, and the moments that really make cinema worth doing. I'm Jeffrey, I'm your host for today, and I'm joined by my friends Christopher and Vega. Say hi, guys.
Hello. This is Nathaniel.
So yeah, I've got a question for you both before I go into the movie and the synopsis. If you were in any animated universe, which animated universe would you choose?
Oh, dang. Man, if you asked that to me, this actually strikes up a weird moral dilemma with me, Jeffrey, because I feel like growing up, I watched a lot of anime, and the classic fat guy that likes anime in middle school and high school, and I had a lot of the fantasies of, oh no, just think about isekai kind of makes me cringe. But I want to say I was first. I had fantasies of joining anime worlds before isekai really was a genre. But I would, often think about, I want to be in Naruto or One Piece. And it was kind of an escapism for me. And it's been really weird. It's actually kind of been a testing ground of how I'm doing in life. Because when I was younger, I had often asked myself, if I could leave this world behind, my friends, my family, the girls I had crushes on, would I? And often when I was younger, I would say yes. I genuinely would be like, if I could never return to my family, but go live in, One Piece, I would. And as I've gotten older, I've asked myself that same question. And I've more recently, past 5-6 years, I've started to be like, you know what? If I could visit these worlds, I would, but I would not fully leave. So it has been a weird standard of how am I doing emotionally and mentally of do I want to escape the world right now? Which I know was a really long answer, and I didn't actually even answer the question. So just off the cuff, oh gosh, am I the main character? Am I just some side standard person? What are we talking about?
I'm going to leave that up to you. If you want powers and you can give yourself powers, you can. This is your world.
Oh gosh, Vega, you go while I think.
All right. So the question, correct me if I'm wrong, was if I could just live in any animated universe, which one would it be? That's the premise.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the earliest shows I watched when I was a kid was Pokemon. I guess cartoons wise, that I found a lot of enjoyment watching. I liked the vibe. I liked the world. It was fun. I think as long as it was whatever the more modern era of Pokemon is, not 2024 as much as I'm not in caveman times Pokemon, because that sounds terrifying. Then I think the Pokemon universe, because they sound, for the most part, they found I guess some sort of decent balance between literal monsters captured in a Pokeball and humans sort of coexisting, with the occasional every now and then huge threat to all of existence.
Would you make?
But I don't. If I was just a person, then I don't know if I'd really care, or if that would really do anything to me.
Would you make sweet, sweet love to Pokemons?
I would not.
Okay. Good answer.
Mr. Mime, though, I don't know.
Ash's mother. I mean, she's not a Pokemon, but pretty hot. Well, that's a great answer. Immediately I want to say Avatar: The Last Airbender or One Piece or Naruto, but all of those worlds are kind of even if you have powers, you're still kind of stuck in a rigid caste system to some degree, and also you freaking don't have the internet, and you're probably gross and sweaty all of the time. So as much as I want to say one of those worlds, part of me wants to say Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I think it'd be really, really cool to be a bender. And Katara was one of my first crushes ever. So I'd have to go compete for her love against Aang. So I'll go with Avatar: The Last Airbender, keep it simple. What about you, Jeffrey?
Well, that's the thing. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, in that I don't want to leave my friends behind. But I know that there are animated universes, right, that technically take place on Earth. And so if I think about those universes and then think about, okay, which art style do I want to see my friends in? That's kind of a new question, an interesting aspect to consider.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm a big DC nerd. I love Superman. maybe the universe of Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the nice thing about cartoon. We would all become really hot if we were in cartoons. Which will be a topic for this film today. That's for sure.
Or we become really short.
That is for sure.
Like Teen Titans Go. Everyone got really short in that show.
Yeah. We'd either be really hot or really like childlike. Or to quote the movie, I have a 50-year-old man's lust in a 3-year-old body, which is.
Hey, I wrote that one down.
Most of my notes today are just wild quotes. That it was crazy how many quotable things they said.
I got a 50-year-old lust and a 3-year-old
Yeah,
dinky.
thank you. I said 3-year-old body. I was like, he used a funnier word, dinky. Oh, it's so
Dinky.
great.
Anyway, we watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So Private Eye Eddie Valiant has had a taste for liquor and a distaste for toons ever since a toon killed his brother. That's right. In this version of 1947 Hollywood, cartoon characters and live action exist side by side. But when the beloved toon star Roger Rabbit is framed for the murder of Toontown's owner, Marvin Acme, Eddie must overcome his prejudice to vindicate Roger and save Toontown from the nefarious Judge Doom, who plans to demolish it to put a freeway in its place. That's the synopsis. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who you might know from Back to the Future. And it was produced by Steven Spielberg.
Little guy you might know.
Actors in it. Yeah, little guy. He's a little obscure.
I
Might not have heard of him.
If you know indie films, you might know his name.
Yeah, but he's really underground. I think it's also worth mentioning that the lead animator was Richard Williams. He did a great job, and his work deserves credit. Budget was $50.6 million.
Oh, wow.
Box office was $351.5 dollars.
Yeah.
Million, I should say. Cast: Bob Hoskins as Eddie Valiant, Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom, Charles Fleischer as Roger Rabbit. Those are sort of the three that get the most screen time.
Well, we're not even going to mention Jessica Rabbit. She stole when she was
Jessica
on the
Rabbit.
screen. She had all of it.
Yeah, I thought that Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom was a scene stealer.
Really? Okay, I'll have thoughts on that. I thought he did do a good job. I wasn't prepared for how weird he was going to be. I wasn't prepared for how weird the movie was going to be, period.
I think that the weirdness of his particular character makes sense with the reveal that he is.
Yeah,
in fact,
I
a
will.
toon.
I will say, watching the movie, I was like, man, this is pretty cut and dry. There's no twist that no one sees coming. But I was not ready for him to be a toon. So I applauded that moment.
Christopher Lloyd, as Judge Doom, does not blink. Because in his mind, his reasoning was, well, a toon won't need to remoisten their eyeballs periodically. And I think it adds to that unsettling feel that the character has.
Oh, that is a fun fact. Which also reminds me, off topic for 2 seconds. Did you know in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the director, Edgar Wright, wanted all of the cast to not blink because it's based off of a comic book. And in comic books, people don't blink. And apparently, I think there's only one actress that blinks in the entire... I don't remember if it was one actress that only blinks once in the entire movie, or she's the only actress that blinks and no one else ever does. But kind of similar reasoning.
Interesting. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I just think that him hamming it up, he did a great job with that role, and he really enjoyed it. Also, another fun fact I learned about the acting is that all of the actors were required to take mime training so that they could interact with objects that they weren't actually seeing.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Man, imagine getting on a film and they're like, oh, you don't have to learn a language or do stunt choreography. You have to learn mime training. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I wouldn't mind doing some mime training myself. I feel like it would be helpful and fun.
In what way would it be helpful, Jeffrey? In what average daily scenario are you like, man, I just wish I had mime knowledge?
Well, I think that the actor's craft, because for those of you who don't know, I want to be an actor, right? The art of acting is all about the imagination, right? Imagining given circumstances, even if those aren't really available to you. Let's say you're on a set, right? specifically like theater. And there is a lot that is just left up to the imagination. You cannot rely on the set. Maybe they haven't had much of a budget, right? You just have to conjure that for yourself. And so I think that mime training would just sort of help you be more aware of your body and like how you react in different scenarios when things happen to you. Does that make sense?
It does, and that is a great answer. Now I want you to give me a real life applicable. I just want to know how you would use it non-acting in your non-career.
All right. So imagine you're in the situation where you're in a chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're tied to that chair. And there's a person with a
You
gun to
find
your
yourself. Oh, yes, daily stuff.
head. Yeah. And he says to you, I'm going to untie you, but you're going to have to mime for me. And if I am impressed by your performance, I will let you go. If I'm not, I will shoot you. If I untie you and you try to run, I will shoot you. But you have to mime for me. You're going to be glad you took
what a
mime
fool
training.
I am.
Yeah.
Obviously, I forgot about the serial, guy that I guess maybe is like super into mimes and he kills you if you don't mime. Yeah, all over the news.
Yeah. Happened to a buddy of mine last Thursday.
Ah, did he make it?
He did not. No, his funeral's on Tuesday. It's really tragic.
Hey, well, now I know. We'll have to take mime classes together now to prepare ourselves.
Yeah. But also, it's just fun, right? Why wouldn't you want to take mime training?
If you had a life motto, that should be your life motto, Jeffrey. Why wouldn't you want to take mime classes, mime training?
Every new experience builds you in some way, unless it tears you down.
Yeah, the only two ways in life: builds you up or tears you down.
Sometimes it tears you down to build you up. It's like exercise. All right, Vega, do you have any specific thoughts? First impressions?
This is a movie I watched a lot as a kid, so it was just nice being able to pick up on some of the I picked up on some of the like cross references to other cartoons as a kid, but it was just kind of cool seeing like, oh, here's a cameo from like this character, here's a cameo from this character, here's a cameo from this character as the like the first like third of the movie. It was refreshing. It was like cool. It was like, oh, this is like a part of my childhood.
Yeah.
It kept on
Because,
showing on, what's the phrase? Early morning cartoons kind of thing, except not quite that. It was just a rerun that they would either run on like Nickelodeon, and it was either Cartoon Network or Disney, one of those two. But like I just kept on watching it as a kid because it was like, oh, here's our movie. Okay, I get to sit down and like sit and watch. But yeah, it was a good blast from my past.
Yeah. And those of you in the audience might not know this, but Vega and I took an animated film history class over a summer, about a year or two ago. And so some of the animated characters I recognized from that class, like Coco the Clown, created by Max Fleischer, was in the background of one scene.
Oh, I remember that class being offered, and I wanted to take it, but I didn't end up taking it. So I didn't know you guys were in that class.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. It's interesting. At the beginning of the movie, it wasn't until Dumbo was introduced that I wasn't sure. Also, I had not seen this movie going into it, and I knew very little about it besides that it mixed live action with animation. Ironically enough, and I thought it was following Bugs Bunny. I just knew it was about, even though it's in the title, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't know why. I just think of animated bunny, and I was like, oh, it's about Bugs Bunny. So when it didn't open on Bugs Bunny, I was confused. And I don't know a lot about old, especially like Western Disney animation. So it wasn't until Dumbo, that's still only about 10 minutes into the movie, but it wasn't until Dumbo showed up that I was like, oh, they are pulling on real, quote unquote, real life animated characters. I wasn't sure if the whole movie was just going to have like, how like cereal, there'll be Cheerios and there'll be Happy-O's in the same aisle. I didn't know if they were going to make like a bunch of generic animation, but it was cool that again, I didn't recognize probably 90% of them, but as it went on, I definitely started recognizing some characters. So it was cool that they got like the license to use, these real characters.
Yeah, and it was a difficult process too. So Warner Brothers and Disney, in order to get them to agree to both have their characters in this movie of like the Looney Tunes and like Disney characters, their big IPs like Donald Duck and Daffy had to have an equal amount of screen time. And that's why they always shared scenes, right? In the beginning with the piano duel, and then when Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse were parachuting together, they had to have the same amount of screen time.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I guess I did maybe kind of subconsciously recognize like, oh, hey, here are the duos together. But and I mean, again, to be frank, I didn't even realize that those two characters were from different studios. But that makes perfect sense.
No, it's really cool. They did a lot in order to make this movie possible, which I really respect. Like the live action objects that the animated characters were using were puppeteered from above using strings and poles that were then like taken out in post.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the special effects and the blending of the animation is crazy, and I still feel like it stands in today's standards. Really, really well done. I think I was most impressed with because I don't super know the history. Like before this movie, were they doing this? Was this kind of groundbreaking? But what I was most impressed with was the animated characters really, really what's the word? Interacted with their surroundings. It'd be one thing for like an anime character to walk around and maybe talk, but like when Roger Rabbit, when he found out his wife was cheating on him, playing patty cake, when he flew through the window and they left his imprint in the blinds and the window, just like that interaction really heightened the production quality of this film, and they do it throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with it. Speaking of special effects, I'm gonna have a trivia question for y'all. What Academy Awards did it win? Which of these Academy Awards did it win? Best film editing, best sound effects editing, best visual effects.
Best visual effects.
What about you, Vega?
I gotta go with best sound effects editing.
Interesting choice. Interesting. Well, the answer is it's a trick question. It won all three. Plus a special achievement award by Richard Williams, who is the lead animator.
Man, I'm dumb. I knew for a fact it won special effects, but as soon as like Vega answers like, oh, it definitely won all three of these. Okay, I mean that makes sense. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, something else that they did in order to make the 2D characters feel real in their 3D environments was they used models and actors in costumes when they were filming the live action scenes to be in place of the animated characters, and they based the lighting off of that.
Oh yeah, and that's pretty cool because I know animated movies kind of before what was it? I don't know, 2012, whenever the first How to Train Your Dragon came out. And I'm not saying this is true for all animation, but I know animation got not a bad rap, but it looked like animation. It didn't look kind of like the cinematography and the lighting, which go hand in hand, didn't really exist in the same way in animation that it did in the real world. For the most part, until Roger Deakins consulted on the first How to Train Your Dragon, and he did a lot of like previs with, hey, if this was shot in the real world, this is how we would light it. And he would then like convey that over to like the director, and they would work with the animation team. And that was one of the first movies that really brought in a grounded sense of camera movement mixed with real life lighting to kind of replicate what cinematography looks like in live action. So it's interesting that you said they were doing that all the way back on Roger Rabbit, which 100% came through. I mean, I even made in my notes, I was like, it's so cool how the animated characters are lit differently than kind of the world around them, but in a very stylized, purposeful way.
I thought that the cinematography at certain points was really nice. Vega, do you have any thoughts, any moments that really stood out to you?
I mean, outside of just generally some impressive visual gags, like what Nathaniel was saying earlier with Roger, like getting out of the and leaving like an imprint of himself, I really liked how it wasn't necessarily seamless, but like how tied in they made most of the cartoon characters look in this universe. and it not looking, at least not to me, not feeling super like if you guys, I guess, have ever seen, well, I feel like Nathaniel may have, I don't know, I may just be talking out of my butt, but like on YouTube, when there's like some clip from a movie or television, and then somebody adds their like OC into it, and then it just like strange, and it doesn't like, it looks out of place. Like I think it worked for a lot of things here, as to where like a more recent movie, which I think was like pretty probably heavily inspired by something like this, the Chip and Dale, which was like, it feels like doing the same thing but like now kind of thing. That did not necessarily cohese as well to me as this did. So generally they just did a significantly better job, I think, of that.
Yeah, this movie was pretty groundbreaking, and the planning for it was very meticulous, which is something that I think a lot of movies nowadays are lacking as far as visual effects go. There's just this idea that, oh, we'll film whatever and then add it in post, right? And it's also why I saw this video essay recently that was talking about CGI in 2005 with the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, I think the second one, with the Davy Jones, his tentacles.
The hentai guy, yeah.
The hentai guy, yeah. His CGI looks so good and so convincing. This is in 2005, I think. Whereas we'll find examples of CGI nowadays that just don't look real, don't look convincing. It's like that third eye on Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. And that's because CGI, with it being newer technology, people planned a lot more, right? They didn't just throw money at a thing, having the confidence that, oh, this can be done fairly easily. It's like, this is something that is kind of hard, and so we're going to spend time on it.
Yeah. I think that's actually, small tangent, one of my biggest annoyances with Hollywood in the past 2 years of working on film sets and then just hearing stories that I've kind of become annoyed with the filmmaking world is, and I get it, some answers can be answered by money, and I think some answers should be answered with money, totally. But I think sometimes we don't take 2 seconds to sit down and think of a resourceful idea that will A, save us money, and B, not only save us money, but like you said, be better. Like, hey, if we take time to do some good pre-production and thinking, we can have better CGI. And so I do think that's kind of a frustrating thing about films nowadays, that they're like, if we just throw enough money, we can save it in post, we can fix the solution, we can do this or that, where it's like, and I get it, on the day, a million things are going to go awry. No, it doesn't matter if you're Tarantino and the most anal director and spend the most time in pre-production, something on the film set's going to go awry that you cannot control. So I'm not saying if you spend all the time in post, you're going to be able to fix everything. But I think you can save yourself 80% of the issues if you don't spend a lot of time in pre-production. But then even on set, I still think they freak out and they can't pivot. They can't think of a different direction to go. So they're like, what if we just throw money at it and hopefully that will fix it, rather than taking a moment. I think that's a good sign of a good director and just a good crew. If you can take a moment, take in the issue, accept that there's an issue, and then pivot. I think, I mean, just for example, a small little not antidote. What is it? Antecedent?
Anecdote.
So it's like combining the 2 words. Anecdote. The last short film I did, it was our last day. We were running out of time. We were finishing up a big fight scene before we transitioned into the final kind of emotional climax. I love pre-production. I love storyboarding. And I had made up this really complicated series of 9 shots to convey this death. And we broke for lunch, and I was meeting with my AD and DP, and our AD was like, if you want enough time to do the emotional climax correct, you can't spend time on these shots. And I had an amazing DP, and he thankfully was able to be like, hey, I mean, it's great your vision here, but I think if we combine it into this fluid motion, into like kind of one take, or not one take, but like combine the 9 shots, it will work really well and save us time. And that's what we did. And props to him. I think that honestly is one of the best shots, and saved us time and energy and didn't cost us anything, because he was able to take a moment and come up with a creative solution rather than be like, oh, well, let's not pivot and then have to go into overtime and something like that. So I have a high respect for people that are able to think quick on their feet, be resourceful, and pivot in filmmaking.
Oh, 100%. No, I agree. One shot that really stood out to me was when Jessica Rabbit was holding the mirror and was looking at her
Oh,
reflection, and then she turned the mirror to look at Eddie Valiant.
I'm sure any shot that had Jessica Rabbit in it held your attention fully, Jeffrey.
Awooga,
no,
you know?
Oh, the comedy in this was great. Yeah, I know exactly what shot you're talking about. And yeah, that was one of those. There was a lot of like hyper stylized shots that were clearly very intentional. The movie didn't lack cohesiveness. I think again, there was a lot of cohesiveness through the movie. I also just don't think I'm very used to watching older movies, so I think some of the filming and directional choices, which is more common in older movies, didn't always land for me. So while that shot 100% was obviously decided to do in pre-production, took a lot of time, and was an impressive shot in itself, it almost stood out for me in a negative way. Like, do you ever see shots like that was really impressive, but it has now taken me out of the story?
Interesting. Well, I didn't have that experience, but granted, I wasn't all that impressed with the story to begin with.
Yeah, that's pretty true. What were your thoughts on the story?
So, I picked this movie because I have a great love for animation as a medium, and I knew that the technology behind this was groundbreaking and that they did a lot of cool stuff to make it possible. I was not prepared for Roger Rabbit to be so unbearably annoying.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Jessica Rabbit. I was like, what? Oh, yes. 100% agreed.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a certain character type that can be done well that is annoying to the characters around it but endearing to the audience. Think Donkey from Shrek. Think SpongeBob. Think Penelope, whatever her name is, from Wreck-It Ralph. Right?
Penelope's on Tweets.
Exactly.
I think.
They're going for that with Roger Rabbit, but it just did not communicate well to me. Whenever he was on screen, I just kind of wanted him off. And that really affected Eddie's character arc in my mind, because he's going from a man who is prejudiced against tunes to a man who is not prejudiced against tunes, right? And it's this relationship with Roger that's supposed to be a catalyst for that. But if I was forced to spend a day with Roger Rabbit, I would be more prejudiced against tunes.
he enforces the racism against tunes.
Exactly. And I wasn't really convinced that this would have changed Eddie, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm happy you brought that up. I think for me, being a writer, being a director, story is king. If you don't have a story, 90% of the time, I'm not going to like what I'm watching. And yeah, I think while I did thoroughly, this was entertaining. I mean, the word entertaining was made for the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But as far as like any type of, and I get it, it's kind of made for like children and adults. I understand we're not going to do anything maybe too crazy with the story, but I just felt like there could have been some small changes that would have made the story go a lot further. And like you said, Jeffrey, I had a hard time enjoying our two main characters. Eddie, especially because you said his catalyst, Roger Rabbit, doesn't give him a good reason to flip over to liking them. And I do like the whole idea, like sometimes laughter is our only weapon, which I think is a great line. But I just don't think they conveyed it really well. And if anything, the laughter was just annoying. And I don't know, 1988, I don't know if like kind of how in today's standards, comedy is more meta. Sometimes it's more sexual comedy was considered the mainstream. Maybe back in the 1988, kind of that slapstick physical comedy is what everyone was raging about. So maybe if audiences watched it, 4 decades ago, they would have loved this. But for me, there's a deeper story of like laughter. Probably my favorite line in the whole film was when Roger Rabbit, the handcuff bit, where he's like, he could have taken the handcuff off at any moment. And Eddie's like, why in the world didn't you take it off earlier? We both could have died. And he's like, if something's not funny, I don't really want to live. And I know kind of it's over the top. And obviously, if we could get out of a dangerous situation, you should. But the fact that he was just kind of saying, like, if you can't live life with a sense of comedy, if you can't live life with a sense of like lightheartedness and enjoyment, it really isn't worth living. It's just going to be so hard and dark and depressing. So I think that theme is great. And I don't actually think that theme's always super explored in film, but I just don't think they pulled it off, because I think it was kind of ended up just being like, oh, you know what's funny? Punching people in the balls. And there's now you like tunes. There wasn't that one scene with a good heartfelt, like, this is what it means to actually have humor, and it means something deeper than getting punched in the face.
Yeah, I just think that theme would have worked so much better if Roger was funny in the slightest.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Christopher? Do you have any thoughts on the story, the characters?
I think for me, was the story good? Maybe not. Did I really enjoy it because of the nostalgia factor? For me, I've been watching so many times as a kid. Yeah. I don't even know if I thought too critically about the characters on this watch, because I was so like, oh my gosh, this is like gonna be watching a movie from like my childhood kind of thing.
It's interesting that Jeffrey and I haven't seen this movie, so we're taking it to the chopping table a little more brutally. We're kind of like, we're here and we're gonna dissect it. It's interesting that you are much more like, I'm just trying to have a good time with a movie that I watched as a kid, and I mean, I respect that. That makes sense.
Yeah, in a general sense, I think I would agree with some of the sentiments you guys have made. At least definitely the one about like your main lead being kind of decently unlikable. Like, that is, I think, a very fair take. But I don't think I have anything super substantial to add to this part outside of, I just thought it was fun. I enjoyed watching the movie from when I was a kid, but I do have other things that I liked about it. But this was nothing super substantial on story or characters.
It's a shame, because I feel like our two leads, Eddie and Roger Rabbit, were kind of my least favorite characters. I thought some of the side characters were great. I think ultimately my favorite part of the whole movie was when we found out that Jessica Rabbit wasn't a bad person, because she just was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And obviously, she was played as a red herring, but she can still not be the murderer and be a horrible person. She could still not be trying to sell out Toontown and be a horrible person. But it was kind of like, we went from the highest pedigree of like, did she cheat on Roger Rabbit and murder this person, to like, okay, maybe she didn't cheat and murder, but is she kind of a floozy that just uses Roger Rabbit for maybe his money and fame, and then just slowly goes down. And so we find out at the very base of it, she actually loves her husband and she's a good person. And I think for me, that was so refreshing. And she had a great line of, what is a gal supposed to do when she's with a body like this, when she's born with a body like this? Something to that degree. And I really
I'm not
appreciate
bad.
that.
I was drawn this way.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep, I'm not bad. I'm drawn this way. And I appreciated it, because, often when we get women who are very attractive, we sexualize them. And she was very sexualized. I'm not going to say she wasn't, but their character kind of stops there. And I appreciate she was doing stuff the whole movie. She had a lot of autonomy, doing things, trying to save people, doing things her own way, always sneaking around the background. And then she ultimately did things for the right reason. And I think that really I think I really would have disliked this movie if she ended up being a bad guy, if she was working with Doom or anything like that. I'm just really happy that ultimately she was a loving wife who was trying to help her husband out. And I thought that was really nice.
I liked her as a red herring too, because there's that scene in the beginning that's definitely supposed to indicate to the audience where this is going, where Marvin Acme is like, you murdered that crowd. You really slayed. You killed it in there. So
funny red herring. I appreciate that she's always wearing red. It was that fake sex scene might have been one of the funniest things I've seen in film in a long. I will say I don't laugh very often in film, and I found myself like audibly being like, "What? There's no way they just did that." Because okay, context again. I know I like going into these movies almost knowing nothing. I think it helps me when I'm reviewing them. The very little bit I knew was it's animated, mixed with live action. It won an Academy Award. And the night before I watched it, Vegas said that it's a childhood favorite that he watched on Disney a lot. So that's all the information I knew going in. So in my mind, I was like, this is going to be a very kid-friendly, kind of stooping to like children humor and whatnot. And so I was really floored by all like, are we stupid as kids? You know when like adults say like, oh, when I watched as a kid, like Shrek, I have a couple that I'm friends with, and they're like, man, we started rewatching Shrek in our like late 20s, and we didn't realize how funny the adult humor is. And I remember watching Shrek, and I don't remember getting any of that. I can't imagine watching Roger Rabbit and not picking up on any of the sexual innuendos because they are just dripping, if not blatantly in your face. I'm sure this was so many kids' sexual awakenings, Jessica Rabbit, but specifically the scene where he is taking pictures of them playing patty cake, but we don't know it's patty cake, and I'm like, are they fucking? Is he watching them fucking, and we're just not going to get to see it? And you hear what's the guy's name? The guy that owns everything that gets killed later on.
Marvin Acme.
Yeah, Marvin. And they show Marvin Acme like moaning, like very explicitly. I was shocked because again, I was going in with this impression this would be like High School Musical, and then it just was not, and it was crazy.
I loved when it transitions from Marvin Acme moaning patty cake to Roger Rabbit's anguished cries of patty cake in the next scene.
Yeah, and I was kind of confused why I just didn't pick up on that they're using patty cake as a euphemism until they showed the pictures. I thought maybe Ackman was like into spanking, and so he was getting spanked, and he was like, "Yeah, patty cake," which again I think is the joke. But I thought it wasn't a joke. I thought that's what they were actually doing. But I think they were just implying that's what was happening. But it was wild.
Oh, did you have any other specific thoughts? I know you said that you didn't have any substantial thoughts on the characters and the arcs, but was there anything else that really stood out to you that you really just want to talk about?
I kind of missed this, more of just a sentiment. I just really missed this direction of like animated and creative projects where it's like the merging of the two instead of trying to, I guess maybe like some new animation is trying to like very much close the gap on like animated and like making it look so like real kind of thing. Like I guess the whole thing within like I guess computer generated images, like the Uncanny Valley kind of thing, like has sometimes it's either like really stylized or it's like strange, and I can't quite put my finger on why, but I just like projects like this that kind of like wear what it's doing on its sleeve, and like sometimes it doesn't work. There's like I think a few instances where we're kind of like really like maybe a little bad, but most of the time it was like, oh, this is so fun. This is so like I wish there was so much. Maybe I don't know if I wish there was like a bunch of projects that were doing this, but I wish there was more projects doing this or like doing something. Well, I think it's been touched on earlier in this, but like groundbreaking / different / like trying to do something that hasn't really maybe been done in such a substantial and large way before.
Bouncing off that, and have you guys seen John Krasinski's new movie?
No.
Okay, it's just I don't know if you know anything about it, but basically the whole premise is imaginary friends taking place in the real world, but it is very Roger Rabbit-esque, and it's fully live action with, but instead of 2D, it's more 3D animated. Kind of like, I mean, it would be an interesting comparison. Kind of be interesting to watch them back to back. Storytelling, but mostly animation to see if the animation holds up. And they're animated into 3D, much more sleek and fun. Kind of how kids are, like the type of animation that kids like watching nowadays. And I was curious if either of you had watched it, because I haven't seen it myself, but I knew about it, and I wondered if there was any like inspiration taken from Who Framed Roger Rabbit with If. But if you want more movies like Roger Rabbit, Vega, maybe that's a movie you could go watch. I heard pretty decent things. It's like a family friendly movie. So
I might have to watch it. I've seen like a few clips between it, but like hopefully I'm like joyfully surprised. I don't know. Like I maybe I don't have the highest expectations for things now. Like if you ever saw the new Tom and Jerry, that was bad. That was so bad. Like the live action mix with cartoon, it was a little funny, but it was like a hate watch kind of funny. Like kind of bad. And I feel like a lot of the things like Lyle Crocodile similar way. Well, that was more just CG instead of like a cartoon mixing with the. But yeah, I'll have to take a watch, see what I think. Maybe we'll talk about it on here.
Yeah, it would be an interesting movie. It's a shame. I don't usually get super excited about, usually family friendly movies, especially like kind of mixed 2D and animated. I feel personally that I would I'm trying to think, and the only example of, I'm sure some live action might have a little bit of animation here and there, but like a movie that like wears it on its sleeve, like we're doing 2D or like we're doing animation and live action, is Scott Pilgrim. That's one that I really, really like. But I haven't seen in general just a lot of like movies that do mix the two mediums together. So I'll have to watch more. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I will enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of inspiration, Who Framed Roger Rabbit did get some inspiration from Mary Poppins and the melding of 2D and 3D there, but their explicit aim was, we're going to make it look better than that, because that didn't look very blended. That did not look very realistic, and we want there to be a sense of realism to this wacky concept, right? The 2D...
Wouldn't that be great? To be like, hey, your work inspired us, but it inspired us because you guys did it badly, so we're going to do it better. Obviously, I know it inspired them, and Mary Poppins, phenomenal, but it would just be funny to be like, hey, your thing sucks so bad that inspired me to do it better.
Yeah, I'm imagining some really famous director, or he's not famous at first, but he makes this movie, and it really shoots him into the stars, makes him a ton of money, and he comes to me, and he's like, man, I saw your directing lab. And I was like, that guy's shit. I'm going to do that idea, but I'm going to make it something good.
Oh, that's just like Jeffrey's bullies in high school, like middle school, high school is the one that absolutely berated him. And then they go off to be like a dentist or something, something that makes them a decent amount of money. And then they're like 45 and they find out Jeffrey is, like acting in movies, and they go out of their way to like, that movie Jeffrey was in, horrible. And they like spend all of their finances and making a movie just to like bully Jeffrey some more. I think that's beautiful. I would support it. If they had a Kickstarter, I would absolutely fund it.
Oh, I appreciate that support. I appreciate the confidence in me.
That's why we're here for friends. I think, art at conflict makes better art.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know if that's true at all. It's like, did you know what they say about couple? I don't actually know if this is a real thing, but my grandma said it, so clearly it's real. She said, married couples is like diamonds or something. It's like you have a stone and they keep fighting and clashing into each other more and more and more and more, and then the high intensity turns it into a beautiful diamond. But now that I'm saying this, I think maybe my grandma was just trying to justify why my parents argued a lot. So maybe that explains some things.
That is an interesting perspective for sure.
Oh, grandma.
That's what I should do. I should yell at my girlfriend more.
Yeah, I think that is the recipe for a good relationship, and then by the time you're 70, you'll have like somehow just this pristine, magical relationship. If anything, anyone should take away from the Holy Moment podcast, it is to verbally abuse the people you love. And it will one day pay off. And that's what we're all here for. We're just trying to spread the love here on this podcast.
Yeah. Spreading the love through destructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Tearing down to build up. Nathaniel, you're stupid. Vega, I hate your face.
Well, Jeffrey, your mustache makes you look like a pedophile. And no, I like Vega. I'm not going to be mean to him.
Get dunked on.
I have been.
No, I love you both immensely. Truly, two of my deepest friends.
Likewise.
Oh, and I do like your mustache.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah, you pull it off well. I'm just jealous. I'm Asian and cannot grow facial. Yeah. Side tangent. Either I want to be able to grow a mustache, or I don't want to have facial hair at all. But I'm in the weird in between where I can't, like, I can go for. I don't think I've gone for more than 3 months. But 3 months and I'll barely have anything here and here. But it still grows that much in like 2 days. So I still have to shave frequently. So I either want to be able to grow a mustache so I can have a mustache, which I don't really want a mustache, but it'd be cool just to do it, or I don't want it to grow at all. but instead I get the worst of both worlds. No mustache, and I have to shave frequently. I don't know how to connect that back to the film, but I thought everyone should know about my mustache woes.
To make a connection to the film, there's that one guy in the bar with the toupee that kind of spins.
I'm actually happy you brought that up. I was wondering, because this is so much, CGI. I wonder how much stuff they did practically. And when I saw that shot, I wondered how they pulled that off practically. And I just imagined a little suction cup on the guy's head with like a fake toupee put in it, and then they just spun it. And I mean, it seems like it would be pretty simple, but I really appreciate little, especially when you have a movie that is so heavily CGI. It is nice when they're like, hey, in the ways we can, let's ground it with some real props and some real stunts and stuff like that.
Well, the thing about it is, at this time with like CGI, I don't even know if CGI was a thing. And so in order for a film of this kind to work, it had to have a ton of practical effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just to simulate the effect that these 2D characters are having on their physical environment.
Yeah, I'm so unaware of how animation works at all. So I'm really, especially back in the day where they had, way less technology. I'm so impressed again with the stunts they were able to pull off. Like just for example, the scene where they do get handcuffed together in Eddie's apartment, and then he's running all over the place, and Eddie's being dragged every which way. I'm just like how do you even begin to pull that off? It really is incredible. I want to talk very briefly about some of because I know we kind of addressed that there aren't a ton of characters, the main characters we don't love. I thought there were a lot of great side characters. I loved the Toon Patrol. I loved the Weasels. They were great. I think my favorite character, again, maybe Jessica Rabbit, but I also loved the baby. I think that my favorite scene of the whole movie was the opening animation bit. And then, because when they opened, and me knowing again, it's live action mixed, when they opened fully animation, I thought it was going to be a classic, like, oh, Roger Rabbit's supposed to take care of this baby, but in doing so, he falls into a magical portal. Oh, like, did you guys, what was it? The one where Cinderella starts animated, but then falls into like a hole or a well, and then she ends up in the live action world. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah. That was good.
I can't think of the name of it. But I thought it was going to be like that, where Roger Rabbit falls into some hole, goes into the live action world, and then has to team up with Eddie to get himself back. So when they called cut and it's revealed that the Toons just already live in the world, and the fact that the baby was a grizzled old man was probably my favorite, was probably the peak of the whole movie. I thought that was great.
No, I loved that baby a lot. And that scene later when he's telling Eddie that
you
Roger
loved a baby? Maybe the mustache is real.
No, please don't look at me. I can't be canceled yet. I'm too young.
It's okay. As he said, he's a 50-year-old man.
Yeah. So
on the inside.
No, I love the scene where he's saying, "Hey, I know my buddy Roger. He wouldn't hurt a fly," And the little stogie that he's smoking, he cries like a baby when it's tossed out of his hands. No, he's just entertaining to watch in a way that Roger wasn't. I was thinking about that.
Yes.
I enjoy watching the baby. I do not enjoy watching Roger, really.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. Like, it was because the side characters were interesting. I really was curious. I mean, I get it. We don't need motivations for every character, but I was like, why are especially when it was revealed Doom's ultimate plan, why are the Weasels working so hard to commit xenocide against their own species? And then I guess it made a little more sense when Doom was, revealed to be a Toon. So I guess I understand why the Weasels would follow him rather than like following a human that wants to kill all of the people. So, but I like the Weasels. I thought they were my favorite animated characters. Just the way they were slinking around and moving was honestly pretty creepy. I thought they did a good job with them.
Yeah. It was genuinely horrifying when Dr. Doom, or not Dr. Doom, Judge Doom dipped the little shoe in the dip.
Yeah, that was horrifying. I was not, again, I thought this was a kid's movie, and then he just murdered an innocent shoe.
And we watched it happen.
Yeah, I rooted for him. No, I'm kidding. I felt bad. I genuinely felt bad for that shoe. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the main villain, Doom, and who made this guy a judge?
That he was spreading a bunch of simoleons around Toontown, and he bought the election.
That's true. I feel a little like an idiot when he said simoleons. Is that a type of money
I guess so, for the Toontownians.
Because isn't there a type of ethnic group, Somalians?
Somalians, yes.
I thought he straight up was like putting Somalians in, like, people in Toontown to vote for him. And so I was very confused until I think they reference Somalians or whatever it's called later. And I was like, oh, it's clearly money. But why did they pick something so close to like an ethnic group of people? And so I was very confused.
Yeah, it has to be some kind of reference. I don't know what it's a
Yeah.
reference to, but Vega, what were your thoughts on Judge Doom?
Yeah, I thought he was cool. He scared the poop. He scared the poop out of me as a kid, I think. The eyes, like the toon eyes, I don't think I had many nightmares about stuff like this, as much as like it was really unsettling. As a kid, the horror factor, 10. Now, thought he was cool. Thought he was pretty alrightly written, pretty cool. But in terms of pulling back on that, like childhood, he was scary. He was, or at least his presentation, like, because he kind of, like, I don't know, gives, I don't know. I guess going back to the kid thing, he'll give someone who talks the way he does, walks the way he does, holds himself, postures himself the way he does, up until that kind of stuff going on. It was strange. Not someone who child me was like, I want to be really close friends or talk to that person as much as I'm afraid. So some of that still prevails a little bit.
That's the person that shows up in a van, Vega, and abducts you.
Exactly.
So it is the right choice to not talk to
That's
this man.
lore accurate
Is-
for me living in Florida too.
Oh no!
I never got picked up, but me and my brother
Floyd showed up in a white van.
No, it was just some guy in a black Suburban who came by me and my brother and then was like, "Hey, do you want to come in the car?" And then we said no, and then we ran. The story ended good for us.
Yeah, I'm happy. This would be a 2-person podcast if you got in that van.
I'd be so sad. Yeah. Yeah, but like just the way he moved was really unsettling because it didn't feel like he belonged in live action, right? It's his jerky movements, and like there's the one scene in the bar where he's sniffing the vinyl. He's like, he's here, you know?
You know who he reminded me of a bit? He reminded me of the kind of villain in Meet the Robinsons. Is that the name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
just
good movie.
it could be just because he's tall, skinny, wearing all black, but then just kind of his uncanny type of movement reminded me of the villain in Meet the Robinsons, whose name escapes me. But I really like the twist. There's a lot of movies out there where there's a villain to have a villain. It's like, he's a bad guy and he's evil, and then he's kind of in the background so our main characters can do some stuff. I thought this villain, again, I thought he was actually pretty well thought out. He was kind of there from the beginning. I thought it was kind of obvious. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's any surprise. He's obviously the bad guy, I think, from the scene he's introduced. Maybe we don't know why he's the bad guy, and that's kind of the noir film detective-esque to it. But it's obvious that I think he's the bad guy from day one. I feel like they do a good job with him being the bad guy. He plays a really creepy guy. And then they actually give him good motivation, and they give a good twist at the end. I thought the motivation is hilarious, where he goes on his monologue and the camera's right on him, and he's just so excited about the future of LA, Hollywood, and there's going to be a freeway, and there's going to be gas stations and the beautiful billboards. I think is hilarious, and actually says a lot about, today's society. And the movie Toontown's got to exist. They got their happy ever after. But for us, we have freeways, and we have gas stations, and we have McDonald's, and we have, cigarettes you can buy for $1. And I'm not arguing consumerism is bad and all this stuff is bad. It just was, I'm curious if the movie was making any type of statement about any type of people group. I didn't personally draw that because we don't have tunes in real life, but I don't know if there's any statement of like, oh, we came in and kicked the Native Americans out and we built this infrastructure. Again, I'm not trying to make it political. I don't know if there's any political statement about it, but I could see the argument being made that maybe the directors had some type of statement they were trying to make with this specific storyline. But it was hilarious when he was just super getting off on the idea of like, yeah, freeways and gas stations. And again, the twist that he was a toon really worked for me. Did not see that coming.
Yeah. And the funny thing, too, is the other character's like, what's a freeway? This guy's so loony. We should have known he was a toon. This would never happen.
Yeah. And then it's like, cut forward 20 years.
Yeah. So the comedy of that, like of his devious plan, really worked. I think there probably are some real life parallels that could be made. I think that when the freeways were being built, it did displace some people, and those communities that already weren't well liked or perhaps were poorer and not as valued probably did get the brunt of it. It's like, well, we can put a freeway through there, but we can't put a freeway through where the mayor lives. We can't put it through these really wealthy business owners, right? Because, I don't know, they donate to us or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Being 1/16th Native American, Jeffrey, did you feel that this film was talking about your people group? Did you feel personally, vindicated?
Yeah, I just, honestly, it brought tears to my eyes because I felt so seen. And no movies that I've watched have really done that for me. And so I think that this movie, I'm going to lock it away in my heart, and it's just going to stay there till I die. And honestly, I might even take it with me to heaven. Just
straight on up. Oh, good. I'm very happy that you felt seen. That's very good. No Asian representation. Well, no colored representation. Was everyone white in this movie?
Oh no, there was the African American war veteran in the bar. Do you remember?
Yeah, that he used his. I took a note on this. He used his. So it was a war veteran that didn't have an arm, surely due to war, and freaking Judge Doom used the dude's sleeve to wipe the board. I thought that was great physical storytelling, to be like, what a piece of crap Judge Doom is. Like, I thought that was really well done. So yes, I guess there was an African American, but I'm not recalling any Asians. Not even an animated panda bear. So I feel unseen.
Yeah, I can't remember one either. What about Benny the Cab? Do you think he's no, that's bad.
Benny the Cab just gave off like a Boston vibe. Gotta get out of my way. I did like Benny the Cab. I thought he was fun. I felt bad when his feet got dipped. That looked very painful. That's like the equivalent of like stubbing your toe.
No, I thought it was worse. It's like you're stepping on hydrochloric acid?
Yeah, but what's worse, like stepping on acid or stubbing your toe?
No, I feel like the acid burns are gonna stick with you.
I don't know. Stubbing your toe just emotionally ruins my day. Where acid, like people smoke acid and they're fine, or take acid. I don't know how drugs work. They do something with acid and they're still alive.
I think it's tabs of acid.
Tabs of acid. There we go. That's the real story. Eddie wasn't an alcoholic. He was a drug user, and all of this in his mind. Real quick, I wanna give a quick shout out to don't remember her name, so clearly can't be that important, but the love interest. I really enjoyed her. Again, yes, this was the 1988. They definitely sexualized women and were just like, when the baby was looking up women's skirts or slapping his assistant's butt. So there was a lot of issues with kind of how they treated women. But I do think Eddie's love interest and Jessica Rabbit were giving a lot of autonomy. I thought they kind of were able to make decisions for themselves, do things, and they felt like useful. They felt like they weren't just there to be there. I really liked her character, just her in the bar, her being frustrated with Eddie. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her story.
Yeah, Joanna Cassidy was Eddie's girlfriend, and so Kathleen Turner was the voice of Jessica Rabbit, and Amy Irving was the singing voice. Both were uncredited.
Oh.
That sucks.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I guess maybe at the time, giving credit to those that voice cartoon characters just wasn't as much of a priority.
I do know even in today's standards, there's a lot of outcry by people that dub animated characters and just not getting, it's not about fame, but the recognition and the money. I was listening to a different podcast and they had a voice actor on who played the role, what was it? Konosuba, some really big anime that they did a movie of, and it made millions at the box office. And he was paid like $10,000 to do all of his dubbed, and he was the main character. something like crazy low for the amount of money like the movie made. So even by today's standards, I know voice actors just are not recognized as actors, which is a shame because voice acting is hard.
It really is. No, it's nothing to scoff at. I mean, that's what I want to do. I mean, I want to act in any capacity, but I feel like with this audio equipment, there's a real chance of me breaking into that game first, maybe.
Give me your best voice.
All right, best voiced.
Who was this character? Who was that?
It was the Queen of England. Moments before her death. That's the sound she made.
Oh, that's crazy. That's wild.
Let me see. Okay. I'm gonna welcome to the Holy Moment podcast.
Oh, that's good. That reminded me of man, I keep saying movies that I haven't seen, but I've just seen like the trailers. It got a whole spin-off like trilogy kind of when the Minions was going around. The monster movie that had all the monsters and the kid tried to date Dracula's daughter.
Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah. That reminded me of the vampire from that. But that also might be because it just reminded me of a vampire, and that was the first vampire that popped into my mind. So,
well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give my closing thoughts. Actually, no, before we do that, I have a question for y'all. So, did y'all read the newspaper headlines in Eddie's office?
Yeah, I actually... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Yep. The scene where I think he kind of still in the first act. He first goes to his office and he sits down, starts drinking, and then we do the pan over to his brother's desk and then pan over the newspapers and pan back to him.
Yeah.
That bit? Yeah.
The two headlines that were clearly displayed were nephew kidnapping case cracked, Huey, Louie, and Dewey returned. And then the next one was Goofy cleared of spy charges. And so my question for you is, what are some other headlines that would seem right at home on that desk?
Well, it's interesting because we see Yosemite. How do you say that, guys? The mustache.
Yosemite Sam?
Yeah, Yosemite Sam. We see that he thanked Eddie for helping him out and gave him the gun. So it'd be interesting. I can't remember if because I actually paused and went back because I was curious. He opened up the case and there's a little placard on it and it said, "Thank you, something proving I was innocent, Yosemite Sam." And I'm curious if it was like maybe like a bank robbery. So it's like Yosemite Sam framed for bank robbery. So there's mine, proving that Yosemite Sam is not actually a bank robbing man. He's not Jesse. Who's the super famous cowboy outlaw?
Jesse James. Yeah, I think that's one. Billy
Yeah,
the Kid.
Jesse James. Jesse James is the one I was thinking at Dev.
What if it was like a Rust situation where they were filming Yosemite Sam and he accidentally shot the cinematographer?
Oh, that's wild. That's crazy. Oh no.
And then Eddie Valiant was like, "It was the armor."
I like the bullet. I mean, he can make the argument it was the bullets because I really enjoyed when he shot the bullet and then it brought out a tomahawk and cut the thing in the air. I thought that was really creative.
Yeah,
that was a cool thing.
Yeah. What about you, Vega? Do you have any headline ideas?
I don't know if they're funny. Just like random like murmurings of like Mickey Mouse age gap allegations. It's like weird things like that. I just see like my Instagram Explore page is kind of like doomed, and I see stuff like random things like that sometimes. But instead of Mickey Mouse, it's like SpongeBob. Like Freak Bob got shot 11 times in Detroit. So
Mickey started dating Minnie when she was 16 and he was 24.
The thing is, though, Eddie was solving these crimes on the behalf of the Toons. I feel like the Mickey Mouse one, he would find out Mickey Mouse was, in fact, dating underage people. I feel like it would not be a good thing for the Toons.
She was 16, I'm 42.
No.
Type stuff. What? Who would be the freakiest Toon in the movie?
Oh.
Nate, not without Jessica, without the rabbit.
The freakiest Toon. I don't know about freakiest Toon, but did you guys see at the end of the movie where they broke the brick wall and you could see into Toontown? Do you see the trees just making out in the background?
Yeah.
I made a note. I was like, I want to be that tree. But the freakiest Toon?
Betty Boop.
Oh, no, too simple. I
Yeah.
want like a closeted freak. I could see one of those like penguins, the penguins that were serving. I could see them being a freak.
Mmm.
And like the jazz house where Jessica Rabbit,
Marvin Acme was a freak.
Oh yeah. I mean, anyone in Hollywood in the 80s was a bit of a freak. Anyone in Hollywood, bit of a freak. That's why Jeffrey wants to be an actor.
Exactly, because birds of a feather,
He is quite literally a closeted freak as he is in a closet right now.
That is true. Alternatively, I had someone in mind. Oh, the shoes, right?
Oh, because they like putting feet in themselves.
Yeah.
That shoe deserved to be dipped. Judge Doom really was just trying to free us all of these freaky animations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really think that car gets up to devious stuff.
I think he has a big tongue.
Hey, put it up my exhaust pipe.
Oh no!
Like, y'all ever see that My Strange Addictions episode where the guy was like in a relationship with his car?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
That's the
Yep.
car.
Also, isn't there a movie, Metal? There's a movie where like a woman has some traumatic experience and then is weirdly...
Titan or Titane. It's Titane.
Yeah, like Titanium or something like that. Because I think it's something to do with metal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's same thing.
Weird amount of car sexual stuff out there, more than I thought there would be. Maybe the story at the end of the day is we're all a little bit of closeted freaks.
I think so.
Maybe that's the story.
Speaking of the end of the day, I think I'm going to go ahead and give my closing thoughts. I have to be out pretty soon. But, yeah, my thoughts are as follows. The movie has a lot to commend itself. The visual effects were unbelievable for the time and still hold up very well. The lengths to which they went to get there, it's nothing to scoff at. And there were quite a few comedic moments that really got to me, such as the patty cake setup and punchline and the newspaper headlines. Christopher Lloyd, scene stealing. However, Roger himself and the execution of Eddie's character arc brought it down a great deal for me. Whenever Roger was on screen, I wanted him out, and this had the effect of making Eddie's arc less convincing. And for that reason, I would say it's like maybe a 6 out of 10. 6.5 if I'm feeling generous. Before this conversation, I was actually thinking 5.5. But at the end, I don't know, I just feel like that's not being fair to it entirely. Vega, do you want to give your thoughts next?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for a movie that I think may have been on the like top 5 things I've watched at least more than like north of 30 times, did not hold up to the same standard that I had when I was a kid. I don't think it was still really fun. I think it was a great use of like mixing one of the best, if not one of the best use of mixing that 2D and live action with a little bit of 3D here and there, like in there a little bit, kind of thing in media. But going from maybe not super caring about the story when I was a kid to sort of caring a little bit more about it now. Even if I wasn't watching it for that, it kind of did not necessarily sell the same way that it did when I was a kid. So, if we're doing an out of 10 rating, maybe for just how fun it is, like 6.9. I think a 6.9, not a 7, but not a 6, but not
69.
I think yeah. A 6.9 2D freaky animation forever.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, for all the horniness that it is. That's a good rating right there.
It was like the precursor to the weird iFunny Rule 34 stuff that would then come in the early 2000s.
I guess that leaves me. I would say overall, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I think, is a beautiful blend of animation and live action, set in a early film noir that still stands the test of time in today's standards. I think it heavily relied on slapstick physical humor, which sometimes really, really worked for me and other times kind of fell short. But overall, I think the lack of Eddie having a convincing character turn and Roger Rabbit being absolutely insufferable, the story isn't there. So what carries it through to me is the side characters and the impressive animation interacting with the live action. However, me personally, I know other people do different things. For me, I don't rank things off of, was it groundbreaking? Did it change film? Will it stand the test of time? I rank purely on, was I entertained and did I enjoy it? And so for those reasons, I think maybe last night I was leaning more towards 6.5. I think I'm the opposite of Jeffrey. I was leaning towards 6.5, but I'm going to land on like 5.5. I think it was one of the funniest films I've watched in a long time. And that says something. I don't like humor in films. I think often films are done very poorly when it comes to humor. But I thought that the slapstick, physical, mixed with the crude adult humor really worked for me. And sometimes films that push into adult humor, pushing it too hard. I think the fact that it was for children and they had to pull back and make the adult humor subtle made it even funnier. So overall, I will give Who Framed Roger Rabbit a 5.5 for some of its humor and its stellar animation, but for its lack of story.
All right. That sounds good. I don't think we have a system yet for randomizing our movie picks. It's something we're going to have to figure out still. But if we are taking turns, then I guess it would be Nathaniel's turn.
It is my turn, and I've been thinking about it. I think I'm going to take us in a different direction than the last two movies, and I don't know a lot about this movie, but I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. I'm going to have us watch The Deer Hunter, which is a 1978 war thriller that is also, clear schedules because it's a 3-hour-long movie.
All right. I'm down for that.
Heck yeah. Well, awesome.
I guess this podcast was good when it lasted. Kidding. What is it on?
I don't actually know. I'll look into that. We might have to do some pirating. That, or I'm fine to buy. I'm fine to like buy or rent it and then give you guys my login information for like a day or two. But the only issue with that is if we rent it, we're gonna have to watch it all within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I'll look into it. It's an old movie, so I assume we can pirate it pretty easily. But I'll look in and see what we can find.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have any comments, if you have any hills that you want to die on in regards to this movie, just let us know and we will discuss them in the next episode. You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, and on YouTube at the Holy Moment Podcast. So with that, we'll see you next time.